Hey guys, Dr. Rob here. Today I want to welcome you to another one of my whiteboard sessions where we're going to talk about testing for the cause of thyroid problems. This is not your traditional thyroid panel, TSH, T3, T4, TPO. This is really how to get to the root cause of what's happening in your thyroid. We're going to talk about 4 tests today that are very important for you to know. Talk to your provider about it, your healthcare provider, your medical doctor, somebody. Get these tests done if you have thyroid problems and you haven't been able to identify the cause. But before we go into that, make sure you hit the subscribe button. What else do you have to hit? Subscribe, share, notifications. If you could do that for me, that would be awesome. I'd appreciate you guys. I'm trying to build a family here. So, okay, by family I mean a community of people that are trying to get healthy. So in any event, let's cover this, testing for the cause of thyroid problems. So first we got to understand how the thyroid makes thyroid hormone. Your thyroid gland over here takes iodine and it uses it to make the hormone T4. So basically it converts it with an amino acid, a protein called tyrosine. So your thyroid takes iodine and tyrosine and makes T4 thyroid hormone. And then that T4 travels to the liver and the liver converts 80% of your T4 to T3. T3 is the active form of thyroid hormone. It's the part of thyroid hormone that helps you burn fat, lose weight, have great brain function, have good energy, be in good moods, right? All that stuff. So that T4 comes to the liver, gets converted to the T3. T3 then goes to the cell where it talks to the cell and says, hey cell, do all these awesome things. Like make energy, burn fat, all that other stuff. So we have to understand where this breaks down and then the testing that we use to identify where it broke down, right? So here's the first place it breaks down, iodine, meaning the person's simply in an iodine deficiency state. There's different reasons why that happens. One is a symporter defect, which is a genetic problem. They can't hold on to iodine. The other one, they're simply not getting enough iodine in their diet, plain and simple. So how do we test for that? Is the blood work good? Not really. How about saliva? No. Hair? Not so much. The real way to do that is what's called a 24-hour urinary iodine loading test. Very simple to do. You're essentially taking a 50 milligram tablet of iodine in the morning. You collect your urine over a 24-hour period. Fun, fun, fun. You then send that urine out to the lab. Your body should excrete almost all of the iodine that you took in. Why? Well, because if your body doesn't need it, it just gets rid of it. So you should not hold on to any of the iodine. However, if you take in 50 milligrams of iodine and you only excrete 1 milligram of iodine, so your body held on to 49 milligrams of iodine, it's because your body desperately needed it, right? If you're super dehydrated and you drink a glass of water, you ain't gonna urinate. Why? Because your body is holding on to that water so bad. However, if you're on your 15th cup in the last hour of water, chances are when you have that, you're probably gonna urinate because your body's trying to get rid of it because it has too much of it. The body gets rid of what it has too much of and holds on to what it doesn't have enough of. So when you take the iodine, if you excrete almost all of it, you don't have an iodine deficiency. If you excrete less and less and less and less, depending upon how less is the degree of deficiency that's present. Very easy to test for. First way to do it. So the second test we're looking at here is what's going to block iodine into the thyroid? Well, the first one is mercury. How about mercury blood tests? Nah, not really. How about mercury stool study? No. Urine? Urine can be okay if you're doing it correctly. A great way to test for that, very simply, hair. You just take your hair, you send it out to the lab, and the lab will assess to see if there's a mercury toxicity. Because mercury will impede the iodine's ability to get into the thyroid gland. There's some other substances that will do that as well. Chlorine, fluorine, and bromine. These are the halogens. Okay, so if you flash you back to high school biology or chemistry for a second, you remember how we had the different columns, right? So you have all these different families of elements. Well, there was one family called the halogens, and in there was chlorine, fluorine, bromine, and iodine. They were all in the same family. The problem is iodine was the cool cousin that everyone wanted to hang out with. Fluorine, chlorine, and bromine were the nasty cousins. No one wants them to the house. You don't want to see them at the family reunion. You definitely don't want them over for Christmas dinner, that's for sure. So how do you test for fluorine, chlorine, and bromine to see if you have a toxicity of these? Well, you actually do it when you're doing the 24-hour urine study for iodine. If you take the iodine in, the 50 milligram tablet of iodine, when you take that in, it will cause your body to release any toxicity levels of chlorine, fluorine, and bromine. So your body will actually kick that stuff up and you will pick it up in the urine. And if you have large amounts of it, then you have a large toxicity, and there's certain ways to detox that, which I actually talk about in another video. I'll put the link down here below where I discuss how to detox your thyroid. So moving right along, the next thing we look at is, again, the thyroid makes T4. Well, what's another thing that will interfere with T4 production? Cortisol. If your adrenal glands are making too much cortisol, the excess cortisol will interfere with T4 production. In addition to that, cortisol will interfere with the conversion of T4 to T3 in the liver. So cortisol will get you twice in the liver. What's the best way to check for too much cortisol? Is it blood? No. Is it saliva? That's a popular one. No. Is it dried urine testing, the Dutch test? No. What's the best way? 24-hour urine. Why? Well, because what we need to really understand when we're trying to understand too much cortisol, we need to look at the total output over a 24-hour period. Some people excrete at night, some people excrete during the day, some people are excreting constant amounts all day. If you take just a sample of blood in the morning or afternoon, or just a Dutch test, a dried urine test sample a few times a day, or a saliva test sample 4 times a day, you're only looking at snapshots throughout the day. You don't know really if you're excreting too much. It might look like you're excreting way too much cortisol in the morning, and you might think, man, I made too much cortisol today, right? But maybe you really didn't when you look at the evening or nighttime or the whole day. A 24-hour urine study looking at cortisol allows you to understand the true total output of cortisol throughout the course of those 24 hours. If you are overproducing cortisol, chances are it's blocking the production of T4 or the conversion of T4 to T3 in the liver. So those are the tests you could do, some of the basic tests. There's other tests too, because there's many different causes of thyroid problems. I actually did a video, the 39 causes of thyroid problems. Since then, I've identified a few more. There's about 42 causes to hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's hypothyroidism, or hypothyroidism. So you can check that video out. I'll put a link to that video as well in the bottom. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it helps you. Make sure to hit the subscribe, share, like, all those buttons, the notification button, the little bell. Hit all those, and I will catch you at my next whiteboard session. Thanks. Bye-bye.